What's going on, Phantom family? If you are returning, welcome back. If you are new, please make sure you like, subscribe on your way out, and support this channel the best you can. It's the best thing you can do for my channel. Who am I? Well, we are a Phantom of Florida. We go everywhere. We are in Florida, but we can go anywhere. Today, we have gone to the Ann Stevens house. Technically, we've been to the Ann Stevens house several times throughout the course of the last 12 months. When we first went there, we decided, are we going to be able to film this in such a way that we can encourage others to come experience paranormal activity? Is this place actually haunted? We heard some about it and heard a lot of things about shadow figures and knocking on the wall and running around, but this is a place where I'm going to tell you that we did see shadow figures personally, but for the first few visits, we weren't able to actually film anything. As soon as the REM pod would go off, you would touch a camera, it would stop right on cue. It was almost like that's your intelligent response right there. But it was the second day that we were ever there that I would actually encounter my first experience at this place. I'd go home at the end of this visit and review the camera. You see the email, I'll type it up. If you want to see what the response to that email was, I left this book behind for you to write your own paranormal experiences down in, because I think this place is very special. It's haunted. You get activity when you elicit activity. If you try to communicate with them, they'll communicate back. I reviewed this footage over and over and over, and I thought that I had written down all the timestamps that were actually something we needed to look at, pick apart. There's a few parts where you hear a growl. It could be a stomach growl, but I completely missed it. A friend of mine came down, and she spent some time with us, and she went through some of the audio and some of the footage. Her name is Pamela, so I'm going to try to get her on one of our next investigations. Well, she was writing down timestamps on things that I looked at a bunch of times and didn't hear anything, didn't see anything, and she's got headphones on. I didn't use headphones. That's probably my mistake. I'm new. I grew up in a haunted house, but I'm new to the investigating part of it. But one thing that I did know is after she was done writing those timestamps down, she gave me the headphones, and I was actually taken aback by the things that we actually picked up. There's a lot of things that were missed, and there's probably even more that we'll never see because she only looked at a certain part of it. But there are other things that she caught that I could not explain. It's almost like two people having a conversation, and at one point it sounded like three people having a conversation. I completely missed it. So good catch on you, Pamela. Now you're stuck coming with us to the next location. This place was definitely unique, and I filmed it in such a way that I didn't even plan to do any of this. I didn't plan to go there this many times and film it this many times, but I was so impressed and so taken by this location. It reminded me of where I grew up. Only now we have toys to play with to figure out if we can get communication back, and I think we did. So you can go to this place. We're filming this in such a way that you can call this place, you can book this place, and you can have your own paranormal experience. You can even write something down in this book. If you go there on a Thursday night from 7:30 to 11 o'clock, every Thursday night, they have a full bar open. All are welcome, and you can meet people from the Cassadaga camp there. This place is less than a quarter of a mile down the street from the Cassadaga camp. Now, the Ann Stevens house is actually sitting on the very same property that was once George Colby, and then Cassadaga, and then the Ann Stevens house. It was all George Colby's property at one time. Some of it would be given away, some of it would be sold off. So it's all kind of related, and Ann Stevens would play a major role in the development of this place. But I thought that that story would best be told by someone who's actually a part of it. So we interviewed the homeowner of the Ann Stevens house to tell her the story of how Cassadaga became Cassadaga, not what it is today.
So before I mention, before I explain what I know about the origins of the camp of Cassadaga here in Florida, I'll just go back a few years to set some context, okay? So the camp is a community of modern spiritualists, and modern spiritualism originated in the United States back in 1848. There was a family in Hydesdale, New York that moved into a little house and something strange was happening. In the evenings, they would hear knocking on the door, and they would go there. Nobody was at the door. And then they would hear the knocking throughout the house, maybe from under the bed. They would hear the knocking on the window from the second floor. And it was creepy at first, but then, well, it was creepy at first, but then after months of it happening, it became a nuisance. And one evening, one of the girls who lived there said, "If you can hear me, do what I do." And she knocked a pattern, and whatever it was knocked back the same pattern. And she said, "Well, if you can see me, knock this many times." And it did. And so she's told her mom, "It can see us." So they called their neighbor to come and see. And throughout the week that followed, virtually the whole town came to witness, this. They would ask questions and receive responses in the form of knocks. And instead of this sparking mass hysteria and a town of scared, angry townsfolk wanting to burn down the house and the people in it, it sparked a spirit of inquiry. What is this? How is this possible? Philosophically, what are the implications? What does it mean? And can we do it too? And people began experimenting to see if they could communicate with spirit, and a lot of folks found that they could. And so that marked the birth of modern spiritualism. They were looking to figure out ways that they could communicate in a way that was repeatable, so that it wouldn't be just a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence, never to happen again. So it was called modern spiritualism for that reason. Word about this spread through individual mediums traveling the country doing demonstrations of mediumship. And back then, that was the frontier days in America, and there wasn't a preacher conveniently located in every little community. So different religions began having camp meeting revivals. People would travel from miles around to all meet. They would congregate together, set up tents, maybe stay there for a week, listen to the preacher, then take everything down, go home, and do it again the following year. Well, there was a group of spiritualists who wound up doing something similar in New York. It was in a place south of Buffalo. And this group of spiritualists began meeting at an old farmer's field. And they were pretty successful with their revivals or their meetings. But then the old farmer died, and his heirs would not rent out the farm or the land to those funny people under the same terms and conditions. So the group of spiritualists wound up actually acquiring land right next to that farmer's field. And because they were used to the finer things in life, they actually developed the land to make it much more comfortable. So they had buildings constructed, assembly halls, restaurant, meeting halls, like hotels. And within 15 years, they were drawing 2,000 people every year. And in fact, Susan B. Anthony was an annual speaker at these events because those funny spiritualists were proponents of women's right to vote. And one of them thought, it would be great to hold some of these annual conventions in Florida in the wintertime. And so one of them organized a one-time event in a town north of us called De Leon Springs. And one of the mediums who was invited to do demonstrations of mediumship was a man named George Colby. Now, 20 years prior to George Colby being invited to the De Leon Springs event, Colby was one of those mediums that would travel the country doing demonstrations of mediumship. And he was actually born in 1848, the year of the birth of modern spiritualism. Colby had a spirit guide who told him, "There's special land in Florida. We're going to guide you there, and one day you will establish a spiritualist center in Florida." And he came to Florida and he homesteaded 150 acres. And he tried for 20 years before anything came to fruition. And that's when he was invited to do demonstrations at the De Leon Springs event. So the camp up near Buffalo, New York, is called Lilydale. And two of the people from Lilydale who attended the event were Marion Skidmore. She's called the mother of Lilydale, along with a good friend of hers named Emma Huff. And Emma was a medium, and Emma had a spirit guide who told her, when you ladies are in Florida, you will help establish a permanent camp meeting location there, same as you've done in Lilydale. And by the way, it will be next to a railroad owned by Flagler. So the two ladies attended the camp meeting event in DeLeon Springs. They met George Colby, and then they rode all of the rail lines in Florida owned by Flagler looking for this special place. And they found nothing. And Colby waited until they finished their search, and then he said, ladies, I have special land. Would you like to see it? And so they came here, they saw the land, and they loved it. And they asked, who owns the railroad going through here? It was not Flagler. So the two ladies went back to New York. And 3 weeks after they returned, they received a letter from George Colby. Flagler had just purchased the railroad going through here. So they knew this is the special place. So a group of them came here in the winter of 1894 and registered a legal entity here in Florida. It was a camp meeting association. They named it in honor of Lilydale, which is next to the Cassadaga Lakes. So they named this the Southern Cassadaga Spiritualist, because they were modern spiritualists, Camp Meeting Association. And then a few months later, in early 1895, George Colby officially did up the paperwork and donated 35 acres to that group. It was the southwest portion of his homestead. And at the same time that he donated that land that the camp sits on today, he also sold another portion of his land to one person. It was Ann Stevens. Now, Ann had also attended that camp meeting event in DeLeon Springs. And she built the Ann Stevens, what's currently known as the Ann Stevens House. It's a country inn today. But she built this as her winter cottage. And when she did so, she was 70 years old. She was a widow, had no children. And she helped to develop the land that the camp sits on. So the main street in Cassadaga is Stevens Street. And she had a water system constructed to supply artesian water to the camp. And then just a few years after she built her winter cottage here, one of her nieces built a 70-room hotel 500 feet behind this house. It was the Hotel Webster. And Maria and George Webster, they were two of the 13 original founding members of the Camp Meeting Association. So there's historic ties between this property and the camp. And there are woods that borders our property, and there's nature trails with historic markers all throughout, all related to the spiritualists that came here back in the 1890s. The camp still exists today. Instead of having 6-week-long conventions and that they did originally, 4 times a year there is a gala day. It's a one-day event. It's kind of like a psychic fair that they hold 4 times a year. But back then, it served not only as a place to hold annual conventions in Florida in the wintertime, it also served as a place for spiritualists to winter in a community of like-minded people. So it's still here today, like I said, over 130 years later. But that was the origins of the camp.
It was silent
Hey,
for...
this just said 10-4.
It was silent for about 5 minutes, and then it just started going off. We tried it in Eric's room for, I don't know what, for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, and it didn't do anything.
Nope, nothing. Seemingly intelligent as well, because it was going off every time we asked, and then it would stop.
All right.
Wait. So you see how fast this thing is switching through frequencies? Mm-hmm. We just heard a kid, a voice of a kid, and it lasted through a lot of these frequencies. And this is going off. Can you make that stop, please? What? Billy, this is the same voice.
Is it a child's voice?
Is this a child speaking? You hear that?
Yeah.
It's doing it over like 4 or 5 different frequencies. Can you tell us one of our names?
Just do it again.
What's our names? Dude, when we back off, we hear a little kid's voice. Kid's voice. Kid's voice. Can you hear me from this side? This thing is going off. I film it and it stops.
And we're not anywhere near the beam, right? I mean, we're
No,
not anywhere near
the beam is only in front. It literally has to break the beam to make this go off. Something is happening in your room tonight, Billy.
I see
and
that.
You're probably going to have to put up with this later on, which is awesome because I'll be sleeping soundly in my room.
I'll have to be sleeping in the truck.
Note to self, take Billy's keys and lock his doors so that he cannot go in his truck. Are you going to have fun
That's
scaring
crazy.
Billy tonight?
That's crazy. I mean, we just tried it when we first got here in your room for 10 minutes.
Nothing happened. We do it in this room and it's fine. It comes out. Can you scare Billy tonight?
Hear it?
Yeah. That's how many
did it
different
again.
radios. This is going through an actual radio frequencies. It's if you're hearing the same voice on that many frequencies.
Right, yeah.
Can you tell me yes, you're going to scare Billy tonight? Can you do me a favor and scare Billy and his wife tonight?
No, if it's my mom, she won't scare me, right? If it's my mom, she won't scare me.
Dude, this is really active in here.
How come the REM pod's not going off, though?
I don't know. Maybe we should ask it.
Is it?
Are you able to make the REM pod go off by the door? Can you make this device over here, if you can see me, go off? Did it just say the camera's on? Did you just complain about the camera being on? Huh. Do you want me to turn the camera off? That thing is going ballistic.
Why is the REM pod not going off?
Because it could be further down. This REM pod will only go off if you're like within a few inches of it.
Oh, I see.
The coffin, you can be about 3 feet, 4 feet away from it. That's way more consistent. It's getting closer to it.
So is there a spirit permanently there? I mean,
Here, hold that. I want to go mess with this. Now it'll go off continuously because I'm breaking the beam.
yeah, he's going, yeah.
And notice I'm not setting the REM pod off. I can be that close and not do
I
it.
see what you're saying, yeah.
You literally got to be right
You
here.
gotta be right.
I'm going to try something. But this started doing it all on its own. What was that? Look, see, it's doing it again. It's not stopping. It's really close. Is someone making the REM pod go off? Or the paranormal coffin? Can you make the REM pod go off? I keep hearing like glimpses and shimmers of things. And that beep. What is your name?
Is someone definitely here?
Can you make this stop going off? I heard something. How many people are in here? It's not this. It's definitely going. What?
Turn that thing off, man. I gotta take a break.
Okay, so we are out for now. We will be back, maybe from this place, maybe from outside, maybe from somewhere else, but we're definitely going to stop for a while. And then we're going to try to encourage more activity to happen to Billy in the middle of the night. Hearing you run out of here like a little baby would be so funny to me. That's just me speaking. This is just like in my house. The paranormal music box goes off and goes off and goes off. You set a REM pod up on the other end and nothing happens. So I'm starting to wonder here if there's something to it. We set it up over here on this side and nothing happened either way. We bring it back over here and it started. I turned it off. I put the REM pod up. Now it's almost like whatever is in here goes into the bathroom maybe? So I'm going to try to turn this off. And now I'm going to point it towards the bathroom. Well, maybe whatever it was did not go in the bathroom. So let me move this back out. I'll put that back out of the equation. Let's see. Okay. Just going to turn it back off. I'm going to try it again without the REM pod there to see if it starts going off again. Huh. Okay, see, now when the REM pod goes up down there, it stops. And now without the REM pod there, it starts again. If this is the... Oh, never mind. If this is a big coincidence, can you make it go off again? If this is planned, could you make this go off again? If you're really here? Thank you. Now, can you do me a favor and scare the crap out of Billy later? You're not going to scare me, are you? What? You know I'm not staying in this room, right? Are you gone now? Have you stepped out? What if I take the camera on it? So I took this device, it kept going off. When you left, this thing kept going, right? And it's doing it now. So I turned it off, put it over here, nothing happens. I take it back, and I put the REM pod in front of it like I did in my house. Now, this thing didn't go off at all. It stopped. When the REM pod was in front of it, it stopped. So then I thought maybe whatever it was went into the bathroom. So I took it and I faced it toward the bathroom, and it never went off again. So then I put it back up to the original way that this thing started going off. And it started going off again. So right now it keeps going off.
But
Now it stops, but every once in a while it keeps spinning. But it's not like it was, just a little bit. But there's something with this area right here that makes it go off. See, it did it again. Now you have to break the beam to be able to do that. You have to be... Now the fact that it's barely going off makes me think that something is back here. See, it's wherever it is, it's around here. Because it's doing the same thing now. Okay, see, that one wasn't me. Well, it could be. Yeah, could have been. So this is the area on this rug that it would have to be in order to go off. It's seeing me here.
You might have chased off whoever was there.
Maybe. And I'm going to walk back over here. But it's just ironic how it just doesn't do it now. It's almost like whatever it was, like you said, it disappeared. So it's not malfunctioning. It's literally catching something moving that we can't see. And I always see these things on TV, but actually seeing it work.
We had some pretty good coverage there. I mean, we got a couple minutes of...
Yeah, we got some good coverage. This is the part that I don't understand how this can happen, because this is, again, it's motion sensor.
Yeah, right.
It's not EMF. So something did that. And it doesn't like this. Can you make this go off now that this is behind us? Or are you gone? Can you make this go off just a little bit if you're going to scare the crap out of Billy tonight? Thank you. One more time, just so that we can click. You got me in this? You're screwed? Okay, you see, this is the face of happiness because I'll be able to sleep tonight. You're going to scare him, not me, right? Can you make this REM pod go off right here by touching this little area? Is that a yes? You're going to make this go off? There's something about this area. It's almost, I want to say, the REM pod is something that they avoid, but last time I was here, they made it go off. See, do you not like REM pod? Do you like this device here? You do. Okay. Nope. Okay. Nope. Okay. Nope. It's not us doing it.
No.
Okay, so...
There's no remote control that can operate that.
No, there's not. This is definitely pointing towards that direction. You might want your wife to sleep on this side of the bed. But if I hear you guys running out, I am going to laugh my ass off. Do you know the one who pushed him off of the grave? Shit. Okay. Are you the one that pushed him off of that grave? Okay. Well, are you?
It's not Mom, is it?
Talk to it.
It's not Mom, is it?
If you make this go off one time, we will turn everything off. Because you haven't touched this yet. You're touching this. All you have to do is this. Can you do that for me? Did you follow us from the other house? So you were in the other room with us. Okay, we're going to turn this off. So they say that shadows will set this thing off. So try to.
Yeah, there was definitely no shadows are taking that thing apart. They're definitely not setting that off. Unlike last time we were here, what, a month and a half ago?
Yeah, about that.
We were getting all that activity. So far, nothing in this room, which is the same room you were in
The first time
the
I was
first
here.
time you were here 3 months ago.
This was the room I saw the shadow figure in this mirror when I was laying in the bed.
And now, nothing.
Just for an idea, and I know that this light here is probably blocking a lot of that shadow out. You can still see somewhat of a shadow. I'm going to turn this light off.
Oh, there we go. Marjorie's back.
Yeah, that's in the form of me. So I'm turning this off, this light. Now that that light's off, this is currently going off because I'm in front of it. Now it's not going off.
And try some shadows and see now that light's not in the way. Probably still not going to set it. Oh, yeah.
This shadow is not making this go off at all. So in our arsenal, of course, we have like 12 more cameras. We have spirit boxes. Where's the other, you know what? Grab the K2 meter. So put your phone right next to it. Oh,
Yeah.
there you go. See that? Phones do set that off, so we never use it. So if you were to take something like, let's say this, and throw it in front of it, it won't go off. But if you put your hand here, see, nothing. You can do this all you want, but the second you put something that emits electricity, it'll go off. And this can be set off by a cell phone. This goes off on you in the middle of the night.
Yeah, this went off. This went off. You saw it, for 2 hours. Then it went off around 10:30, and then it went off. It was not on until 2 o'clock. Then 2 o'clock in the morning, started up again.
Yeah, I turned the REM pod here off the first time it went off
Yeah,
because I knew that it was going to wait for me to try to go to sleep, and then it wasn't going to let me sleep.
I wonder if it's definitely room to room. I mean, because you got nothing out of this room the last time.
Yeah.
And then when you were upstairs, you didn't get anything. It was all in my room up in the. Which room was that?
Oh, I don't know.
We'll have to get the room number.
You know what? Let's go over there and get the room number, just in case anybody else wants to stay here.
That all the activity was in.
Are they numbered or named?
Dolicina room? Yeah, that's the room. That's the bar. Right?
Yep, that's the bar. You want to grab that camera off? Or here, you want to hold this one, I'll grab it off.
Oh.
We have a Billy Devitt ghost.
That is Eric.
The Phantom. That is Billy. Go to the light, Billy. Go to the light. Shadows clearly do not set this off,
There's definitely no deep.
but we do.
So we'll see through the night. Eric will, I'm sure, if anything happens, we'll record it, right, Eric? So you'll have the cameras nearby.
You know, probably not. You know why? Because in this room, cameras recording it, it doesn't go off. It literally hides. So if it's hiding, clearly nothing's going to happen. If I set up cameras, it'll go dormant. It'll stop. All right, so now walk up towards this. And put your phone next to it. Yeah, see? Your phone is setting it off.
I wonder what that's, yeah.
It's the same signal because this is just tracking the meter. And now hitting your wireless microphone. So you tap your wireless microphone. And this is exactly why we are not going to bring this with us.
Right.
Because a lot of people, they like to fake things.
Yes, they do.
And we like to call that out before we even bring this
Yeah, it is
anywhere. Yep.
Yeah.
So anybody who can't see the phone, who just is filming the equipment only, is able to actually pull something like that off. And I'm going to tap my microphone. It's not doing it now because probably the angle on that. But you were tapping yours and it was going off. So we are not going to bring this to the graveyard. We are, however, going to bring this and another camera and a backpack full of goodies. But all the other things in this Ann Stevens house, I mean, it is very unique. If you want your own paranormal experience, feel free to go down there. Feel free to spend the night, illicit activity. If you don't have a camera, you don't need a camera. I have a lot of cameras. I think that's my best bet when it comes to catching activity. But this place, our main goal, we hope to one day be able to investigate the main house rather than the cottage house, because when we were in the cottage house, we had to film it when no one was in the building. This would be a place where you could check in. It has 6 rooms. Each time you're seeing us film, there's nobody else in the house. It's empty. You can call Emily and ask her. Just say, hey, Emily, was there anybody in the house when Phantom of Florida was there? No, there wasn't. There was one time, however, that she was in the house. And when she came up to visit, all the equipment went off. It just, the paranormal music box would not stop until she left. Then it stopped. We caught a lot on our last day. It'll be very interesting to see what we can catch if we can get into the main house to investigate. So Emily, if you're watching this and you guys take a vacation, just leave the key under the doormat. I'll just act like I was never there. And don't watch my YouTube channel anymore. There you go. Of course, they'll probably scare us out of the house too, but hey, you know what? That's what we're there for. We want activity. I think that we'll probably get a lot of activity there. The activity that we did catch there, it wasn't something that was scary. We didn't feel scared. I saw a full-blown shadow figure for more than 5 seconds coming across the bed at me as I'm looking through the armoire mirror, and I felt no fear. But as soon as I looked down to get my camera app up so I could take a picture of the armoire mirror, it kind of zipped off. And I remember turning my head and I missed it. Like I didn't even see it with my own eyes, but I locked onto it through the armoire mirror. I know what I saw. There was no denying it. There's no eye floater that's going to show a human-shaped figure leaning over a bed coming towards you for 5 freaking seconds. But I didn't even realize until after the fact that it happened that I really didn't feel scared at all. Growing up, you'd see stuff like that. On the corner of your eyes, you would look, but you'd still see it trying to go away. Here, I'm looking directly through the armoire mirror reflection, and I'm looking directly at it. I don't know if it knew I was looking that way, but as soon as I swipe my text messages up, I go to look down for my camera app, it zips out of the way almost like it knew I was doing it. Kind of weird. So I highly recommend going to the Ann Stevens house. You get to stay in the cottage house. If they do open up the main house for paranormal investigation packages, I guarantee you I will be there. I will update you guys and I'll make another video on that investigation. I really hope to get there one day because that place was just really amazing to be a part of. And running around all those places, you can go into Cassadaga, you can go to seances and do whatever they do there. I, however, would not go into Cassadaga. I didn't want to go in there with cameras blazing. I heard they don't like cameras. So I didn't want to be rude. So if you're a part of the camp and you're watching this and you have a haunted location for me to check out and you want to tell a little bit about you, then I'm all there. I'll be right over. I'll put you on camera. I'll investigate the haunted house or any haunted location that you may know of, or if you have a place to recommend in the area that they will let us go to. But I'm not going to blow anything out of context. I'm not going to make it look like something it is not. This is going to be something like, if you have a story to tell, it's going to be a story you tell. That's it. I see a lot of people trashing this place on YouTube, and I know that they're all trashy fake YouTubers. But let's go there and let's figure this out.
That's when me and my friends were heading to the famous Cassadaga cemetery back when we were in high school as a joke. First time we went in the cemetery is the first time I encountered my first encounter when I got knocked down trying to sit on a headstone.
Eric, easy. First thing out of it. Does it make you angry that people call this the Devil's Chair?
What the hell?